Hey everyone, welcome to midweek. This practice is going to move a little slower than our others, and it's going to be a little bit more towards the yin component. We'll do more of that later in the week. The yin practice is a slower, more still practice. So where in our vinyasas and our yang practices, we're working a lot of muscle, we're certainly developing strength and flexibility. The yin practice is a little bit more about not just stretching muscle, but getting into connective tissue, into myofascial tissue. And this is where really we start to break up old holding patterns physically and mentally. So we'll work some stuff in the hips and the hamstrings today. But we're going to start with some half sun salutations and some lunges added in. So find your way to the top of your mat. So we're going to do half suns. There won't be any vinyasa in today's class. So inhale, reach up. Exhale, dive out over the legs. We'll come up about halfway, lengthen through the spine. On the exhale as we fold, we're going to step that left foot back and bring down the left knee. Now we're just going to stay in a low lunge for right now. Lunging into that right leg and this feeling that you're dropping that left hip and thigh towards your mat. If you have some tenderness in the knee, then maybe you want to put a blanket or something under that back knee. We're just going to hold this for like 2 more breaths. Then we'll step that left foot up, come up about halfway on that inhale. On the exhale, we'll step that right foot back, bringing down the right knee, uncurling the right toes. Again, staying low with this first one. This feeling, again, that you're just kind of like pouring that right hip and thigh towards your mat. It's a good little reset for kind of midweek or just if you've been active in general. Right foot's going to step up. Halfway up on the inhale. Exhale, fold. Arms out to the side. Inhale all the way up. Exhale, hands to the heart. We're going to do that 2 more times. Up on the in-breath. Exhale, fold over the legs. Come over about halfway. Exhale, step the left foot back. Bring down the left knee. This time, let's bring the hands up to the right thigh. And you could bring the left hand to the left hip, or you could have both hands on that front knee. Just stepping down into the right foot, pressing that left hip forward. Take another inhale. On the exhale, hands to the floor. We're going to bring up that left foot. Halfway up on your in-breath. Exhale as you fold, right foot stepping back, bringing down that right knee. You could stay low or bring the hands to that left leg. Rolling those shoulders back and down. Sometimes it feels good just to kind of stretch this stuff and not have to work it so hard all the time. Hands to the floor. Right foot up to meet your left foot. Halfway up on that in-breath. Exhale, fold. Reach up on the in-breath. Exhale, hands to the heart. 1 more like that. Inhale up. Exhale, dive out over your legs. Lengthen the spine as you breathe in. Left foot's going to step back. Let's keep the left knee lifted this time. And we're going to keep the hands on the floor. So stepping into that right foot, pressing back through that left heel. Nice little stretch for the hips before we get into a more static stretching. So when we get into the actual yin poses, we'll be holding most of those for quite a long time, for about 2 to 3 minutes per side. Step that left foot up. Halfway up on the inhale. Exhale, right foot back. Keep that right knee lifted. Props will be helpful, but not mandatory. Then the right foot's going to step up. Halfway up on your inhale. This time on your exhale, fold over and walk back to down dog. Now as we prepare to go into this first pose, you might want a blanket under your back knee. I'm going to get my timer set here. So we're going to step that right foot forward between the hands and let that left knee stay on the floor. Now the left knee can be directly under the hip or it can be a little bit behind the hip. And you could stay here with your hands framing the leg. Pulled up my calculator by mistake. That's not going to help us. Or you can bring the hands to the inside of this right foot. Now if you do this, you're probably going to want to walk that right foot off to the right a little bit just to give you some room. Now this could be a great place where you could institute some blocks under your hands, or if you decided to come down to forearms. That could be very helpful. You could stay here, or you can also walk your hands kind of away from that right leg. And you could let that knee open up a little bit. You don't want it to go too far though. You don't want to put too much pressure in that hip flexor area. So traditionally in the yin poses, you'll spend about the first 30 seconds kind of wiggling and fidgeting around, and then you want to try to find some stillness. And you also want your breath to just be natural. You know, if you're meeting resistance, by all means, use the breath to breathe into those tight spots. A little bit more than a minute here. About 35 seconds. Start to walk your way back to the front. You don't want to try to run out of any of these poses. And you could hop that back knee forward a little bit. Flip those back toes under. Sound effects might help you. Oh, step back to downward facing dog. Then we're going to step that left foot forward. Reset our timer here. So again, you can start right here, or scoot that knee back, or bring the hand inside. I would say replicate as much as you can from that first side. If you can't hold it for as long or go as far, that's perfectly fine. You have about 2 minutes. This side's never my easier side. A little bit more than a minute. That's a lie, it's a lot more than a minute. I'm just trying to get through this with you. I'll make it up to you less than a minute. "30 seconds. So start walking back to the front here. Again, sound effects could be very helpful. Downward facing dog. And then we're going to come down into tabletop pose. We're going to do a pose that's got a little bit of a twist component, and it's also got some benefits for your mid-back and your shoulders. We're going to do it from tabletop. If that's not super comfortable for you, you can come into child's pose and then just thread this right arm under like this and reach that left arm forward. Otherwise, finding your way, I lost my timekeeper, there we go, to tabletop. Move your left hand forward a little bit, and then you're going to thread that right arm through. So you come down onto the right side of your head, your left hand's going to walk forward. I got to get this to where I can see this. So booty stays up, toes can be flat or curled under. Left hand can reach straight ahead, or you can walk it a little bit towards the midline of your mat. We're just doing 2 minutes on each side here. Close your eyes, because, I mean, literally, the only thing left for you to see is your armpit. One more minute. Thirty seconds. Then walk that left hand back a little bit. Undo your twist. Adjust your glasses. The perils of the glass-wearing yogi. Some cat-cow. And then we're going to take it to the other side. So walk that right hand forward a little bit. Thread your left arm through. So you're on the left arm, left side of your head. Right hand can walk forward, or again, a little bit towards the midline of your mat. One more minute here. You're going to walk that right hand back a little bit so you can unwind and untwist this. Cat-cow that. Oh, goodness. That one is really good if you spend a lot of time working at a desk, hunched over a keyboard. that really helps you to get into that. Also, if you're like a cyclist and you spend a lot of time over your bike, or if you're carrying a kid around, we're going to move the direction a little bit down to these hips. So soles of the feet are going to come together, knees are going to open up for butterfly pose. You can do a little bit of movement here before you hunch over. So wiggle around, lengthen up your spine, and we're going to hinge forward, and we're going to round over the legs. You can either keep your hands on your feet or walk your hands forward a little bit and let them rest on the floor, and your chin on your chest, rounding into that upper back and mid back. So most of these poses we're holding for about 2 minutes. When you stretch a muscle, it takes about 30 to 40 seconds for your muscle to kind of stop fighting you and to give in to that stretch. So your flexibility kind of happens after that 30-second mark, whereas your fascial tissue needs about 120 seconds to stretch. So we're kind of just taking it just to that today, just to that point of stretching. Thirty seconds to go. This is a really good practice to incorporate anytime, really. Like anytime you feel really stressed and tight, this is a good one to do if you just can't bear the thought of a vinyasa. Bring your hands back to your feet. Lengthen your spine. Use your hands to help you press the torso up. Try not to run out of this. When you're up, bring your feet to the floor, knees up. Wrap your arms around your knees. Just give them a little hug here. We're going to do another hip opener that can be a little intense. I'm going to give you an option if fire log is not sound so friendly, and I mean with a name like fire log. You're going to start by bringing your left leg onto the bottom. Think about lining your left shin up with like the edge of your mat. Your right shin, you're going to try to stack it on top of this left leg. If this is not happening for you, bring that foot to the floor and just let your shins be crossed. Let's restart our timer here. Reach back, get some of that junk out the trunk. And just bring the hands a little bit behind you and tip yourself forward. A little bit of flexion in the feet, not terribly strong. And this could be where you kind of just feel it out. Like, oh, I don't know. Maybe the hands come forward a little bit more and you're able to round over the legs a little bit more. Your chin to your chest. You might eventually just walk your hands all the way out in front and just round over the legs as much as that's comfortable for you. I know comfort in this pose is a very subjective term. Now for me in this pose, I definitely feel this right hip, but I also feel stuff happening in that left hip. So if I were on a scale of 1 to 5, my right hip is at about a 4, and my left hip is at about a 3. "30 seconds, which seems so long. "15 seconds. Start to walk the hands back towards you. You can't run out of this pose, even if you wanted to. Right foot to the floor, left foot to the floor, a little side to side with the knees and the hips. Ooh. As we say in the South, dang, y'all. All right, let's go ahead and get the other side. So right leg on the bottom, again, lining up that shin. Left shin on top or in front. It's okay to do these differently. You know, one side is going to be a little more cooperative than the other. And then again, slight flexion in your feet. And just take your time to roll over here. Rounding happens when it happens. You might feel like you have to keep your hands on the floor and your spine long to kind of support your weight. The more you round over these legs, the more intense it can be in your hips. Less than a minute here. Seconds. And we're going to roll up. This time we're going to lean back, just send the legs straight out in front and give them a little movement here. We're going to do a twist, and then we're going to kind of call it a day. So find your way onto your mat, knees bent, feet on the floor. Roll down and wrap your right thigh over your left, kind of like you were sitting sort of fancy in a chair. Your arms are going to come out like a little letter T, maybe lower, maybe higher. Bump your hips over to the right. Let your knees drop over to your left. Your left hand could come on top of that right thigh and give you a little extra twist here. Then we'll come back to the center. Switch out those legs, other leg on top, left leg. Bump those hips over to the left. Drop your knees over to the right. Give yourself a little twist. And you're going to come back to center, unwrap those legs. Hug the knees into your chest. And then you're going to extend the legs out and drop your arms by your side. We're going to do a very abbreviated yoga nidra here, a contraction and release. So imagine first that breath can come in through the soles of your feet. Draw your breath from the feet all the way up to the crown of your head. Hold it at the top. Then open the mouth, exhale. This time as you draw that breath in, flex your feet, tighten the muscles in your legs, your glutes, your bellies, your arms, your shoulders, your face. Hold, open the mouth, drop everything. Let's do it one more time. Deep breath, belly, ribs, chest, tighten everything along the way. Hold it, hold it, hold it. Open the mouth, exhale. Deep cleansing breath. In. Through the nose, out through the mouth. If you have another 2 or 3 minutes for your Shavasana, please feel free to take that. Otherwise, thank you for practicing with me today. Namaste.